Hi Post-16, this is Mr. B broadcasting live from his sitting room to you in your home. Welcome, this is going to be a weekly briefing. I'm determined that while we are not in school, every Thursday I'm still going to do you a briefing, try and keep you up to date with stuff going on connected to school, to do with your qualifications, hopefully give you some encouragement to keep up with your study if you're in year 12, and hopefully try and help you get a little bit of direction if you're in year 13 and have suddenly had your education cut short. So I am today broadcasting to you from my house. I'm hoping that you are in your house. As of yesterday, the government has asked us to stay indoors and to not go outside unless it's for anything super urgent, like going to the food shop, going to a pharmacy, going for an urgent medical appointment. And I genuinely hope that you are sticking to that and doing your part in the fight against COVID-19 and staying at home. Please do. Please resist the urge to go outside, hang out with your mates. Boyfriends and girlfriends, please resist the urge to go and hang out with them. I have posted in the Google Classroom just within the last few days exactly why you shouldn't go and see your boyfriends and girlfriends at the moment. There is a very interesting article there about what happens when you have sex at a time of global pandemic. Please read it, it may save your life and your partner's. So, if you are eagle-eyed and have been keeping up with our Post-16 Google Classroom, will have seen by now that I have changed the name of our Google Classroom, and that is my response to what we're having to go through at the moment, because I am determined that even though we are now separated from one another, that we are going to be able to maintain a sense of community. It was one of the things I was really proud of when we were all in school together, that we were there for one another and that we were a community. And I'm determined to maintain that now that we're not together. So now our Google Classroom is called the Post-16 Community, and I would really very much like for our classroom and for these videos that I'm going to be posting to be more of a community notice board now, where we can stay in touch with one another, share things that are going to encourage and uplift one another, opportunities that come up through this crisis we're going through, and as well as maintaining our educational community, so that I can keep posting when we hear things from exam boards about how grades are going to be calculated, and some things that we're going to need year 12 to carry on doing to keep on top of their studies so that you don't end up missing out. Okay, so no briefing would be complete without starting with a reference to parade standards. In those last couple of assemblies that we had just before we closed last week, I was trying to give you some encouragement around continuing to be an excellent role model in the community, and that stands true. Now that Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock have put the call out for 250,000 volunteers to support the NHS, I really hope that you're stepping up. But even if you're not, you can still be a role model around your house. Help your parents. This is going to be a really difficult time for them, particularly if they've got younger siblings. There are many opportunities for you to be a great role model right now. In the very last Post-16 briefing that we all had together, I was talking to you all about how to use study periods and talking about the importance of not getting distracted, the importance of getting your head down and getting working, and it then prompted me to go crazy and stick these posters everywhere where you went. Of course now that seems a little bit futile because you're not in school, you haven't got study periods, you've got one all day long study period if you're in year 12, but bits of it remain true. So I just wanted to focus in on the idea that while you're not in school year 12, you do still need to be making sure that you are sitting down and working to keep on top of your work. You do still need to make sure that you're planning what you're going to do to make sure that you are completing enough work so that you don't end up coming back in year 13 and having fallen behind. And it's really important, it might not be in the restaurant now, that it is really important that you are disengaging sometimes as well. When all of this stuff with COVID-19 started, I became a little bit addicted to watching the news. It was almost like I needed to know what was happening and what was on the way. I'm trying really hard now to limit my news consumption so that I'm able to maintain some kind of balance in my life, and so that I don't become some kind of psychotic germaphobe, so that I can actually maintain some degree of normalcy, and I really encourage you to do the same. However, it remains true that for all of us, now is the time. Now's the time for us to step up, continue serving in the community, continue studying, keeping ourselves busy and active, to make sure that the period of isolation and shutdown, as it's being called, doesn't end up being something that unravels all of the hard work that we've been putting in for the last year. So when we had our final assemblies in the last week of school, I talked to you about the importance of creating a good environment at home to enable you to carry on focusing on work. And I really hope that you've taken the opportunity in the last few days to get yourself set up and sorted at home. If that meant that you had to tidy your bedroom up, I hope you've tidied your bedroom up by now. If that meant getting some separation between the different things that you are hoping to achieve in your bedroom, between resting, relaxation and pastimes and study, that you've been able to set that up somehow, because it really does help. Now, it might surprise you to learn that even though I have a whole flat here, that I had never set up a home study space. I preferred to work in school until silly o'clock in the evening, so that when I came home, my home was a place of relaxation, and all my work was all associated with being at work. I have now taken the step of setting up my very own home study station. I've had to slightly rearrange my sitting room to do it, but I have bought out of retirement an incredibly old table that I inherited from my grandmother when she passed away. That table now is about 70 years old. It was the table that she and my grandfather bought and used during the 1950s. It has been through many different versions of use in their home. It then was put into use in my parents' home. It then went back to my grandmother again, and then when she passed away, I got it. That has served as a family dining table, it's served as a desk, it's served as a bit of a dumping ground at times, I'll be absolutely honest. Now it's my home study. I've managed to get it set up so that I now have a space where I can work from home, and I really encourage you to try and do the same thing. You'll notice that I'm not facing the window so I don't get distracted by the beautiful sunshine outside. It's facing a wall, I can't see the television, and obviously it's nowhere near my bed. So I'm managing to maintain my focus, and I hope you are too, especially if you're in year 12. Maintaining routine is also the other thing that I encourage you to be doing while you're not in school, particularly if you're in year 13 actually, because you've potentially now got 7 months ahead of you of time that you're going to need to fill. We know that we are in a state of isolation at the moment. In all likelihood, that isolation could last for 3 months. We've all got to have a routine going. Year 12, it's really important that part of your routine is building in doing some schoolwork every day. And you remember I encouraged you to carry on following your timetable. So if you would have had 2 hours of English on a Monday morning, that you did 2 hours of English on a Monday morning. It's really easy when you are not getting up and going to school to fall into the bad habit of staying awake later at night and then getting up later in the morning. I really encourage you to try and maintain a good routine while you're at home and not in school, so that you're able to hit the ground running when we get back to school. And for those of you in year 13, so that your brain hasn't turned to mush, so that when you either start a job in the autumn or start an apprenticeship or go off to university, that you are still able to function as a student. So, maintaining routine while we are in a period of national lockdown, that's going to be a challenge for all of us. I have struggled already with maintaining that routine that I've been trying to encourage you to have. So, how are you going to fill your time? Year 12, you're not going to be studying all day long every day. I know that. you are going to need to build in some opportunities to step outside. We're all allowed to go outside once a day to get some exercise at the moment. Please make sure that you do that. Make sure you get out and work yourself physically. Do a brisk walk for 10 minutes every day, and that will make sure that your heart remains healthy and you're able to maintain your physical fitness. You might be joining in with the Joe Wicks workout that I posted about on the Google Classroom every morning at 9 o'clock. You might have your own exercise regime that you're developing at home. That is something that you've tried to transpose from what you used to do in the gym to what you're now doing at home. If any of you come up with any ingenious exercise routines or find any really good online workouts that you'd like to share, go to the Google Classroom. There's a post on there about the Joe Wicks daily PE lesson. Put a message on the Google Classroom, share it with the rest of us so that we all know where to go to find those really great home workouts. Year 13, obviously, as we said, you've got a lot of time to fill at the moment. I'm really hoping that some of you at least signed up overnight last night to be able to become one of those 250,000 NHS volunteers that we need in the country to keep things going. I know within 24 hours we've already hit the 250,000 mark. I really hope that some of you are taking the opportunity to serve in the community and support our NHS so that they are able to focus on saving lives in hospitals and treating people in doctors' surgeries, so that you are able to go out maybe and help do some of that community work, delivering prescriptions, delivering shopping that the social care system is going to really struggle with otherwise. But if not, there are loads of things that you could be doing, and I'm trying to post about them on the Google Classroom. As soon as I see something and I think, oh, that would be great for Post-16, I'm trying to post on there for you. So I've put suggestions on there about how Audible books are now free, for example. I've posted about free online study courses that you could be doing that are designed to prepare you for university. As I keep finding things, I'll keep posting them. If you find stuff as well, put a message on the Google Classroom so that everybody else can see it, so that we're all able to use our time successfully and productively during this period where we have to be apart from one another. And finally, you know how I always finish briefing with an "and finally" comment, and it's designed to give you something to pause and reflect on, something to think about, something to maybe see if you can put into your own life as well. And obviously, I've been thinking a lot about the prospect of being shut up in my house for a week at a time. I've been rostered to go in and work in school to help look after the children of key workers every Monday, so I'm going to have 6 other days in the week where I'm not leaving the house. And whereas some people, when they're posed with a question or a dilemma, they think, what would Jesus do? I very often think, what would Nelson do? Because as I tell you quite frequently in briefing, Nelson Mandela is my personal hero, and he had an incredibly long period of effectively self-isolation. He was in prison for 27 years for standing up for what he believed in and fighting for freedom and equality in South Africa. Imagine that, 27 years of isolation. So I went to what Nelson would do, and I found this great quote, which I'm hoping gives you a little bit of inspiration about how we can productively and mindfully use this time while we are in isolation from one another. And he says, I went for a long holiday for 27 years. That's typical Nelson Mandela humour there, describing a 27-year period of imprisonment, very often in solitary confinement, as a long holiday. And it was time to stand away from myself and from ourselves and to look at our work. Although it was a tragic experience, and I think we would all agree that the battle against COVID-19 is a tragic experience that everyone in the world is now facing, it was also very helpful because we were able quietly to reassess our work, the mistakes we had made, the achievements, and we came out better prepared to carry on our work and to face new challenges. This is actually, amid all of the tragedy and all of the gloom and all of the despair, and all of the worry and the fear, this is a great opportunity for us to stand back, think about how we might change and adapt ourselves, become better versions of ourselves, change certain things that we were doing. Maybe you're in year 12, maybe you haven't had such a great year, maybe you've ended up getting into a pattern at school that maybe you wish you hadn't got into. This is a beautiful opportunity to reassess, to change how you're doing things. You might discover that with time on your hands now to get a real balance in your life of doing things for yourself as well as for your schoolwork, or being a slave to your part-time job, that actually that's something you want to take forward, that you want to carve out time for yourself to maintain that balance in your life. And that could be a really beautiful thing to get out of a period of isolation. Whatever you find out about yourself during this period of self-isolation, we've got to cling to those beautiful things that you find out and strive to be the best versions of ourselves that we can. We might be separated by this dreadful disease at the moment, and we might not be able to physically see one another and interact with one another in person, but please know, Post-16, that we are still a community. We are still here for one another. I'm still here for you, Miss Shepley, Miss Marshall, Miss Maxwell. We are all still here for you, your tutors, your teachers. We are here for you. We will respond to emails. Remember what Lucy said in the post on the classroom. If you start struggling and you need to talk to someone, send her a message. She'll give you a call. And year 13, don't think that just because your school year has come abruptly to an end that you're not still part of our community. These briefings are going to be for you as well, because we still care for you. We are still committed to supporting you right the way through until you begin the next stage of your life journey. So Post-16, look out for more videos every Thursday. Keep reading what I'm posting on the Google Classroom, and let's keep our community strong. See you next week.